Hey there, and welcome to the Chasing the Rabbit podcast from First Baptist Church of the Islands in Savannah, Georgia. Be sure to follow this podcast, turn on your notifications to get every episode right on time. Help us out by rating this podcast. Even better, share it with someone who might enjoy it. I'm Brooks. I'll be your host for today's episode, so let's chase some rabbits. Jason Gamble is busted. I saw you out of the corner of my eye counting how many times I said the word podcast, and it was only 3.
Yeah, only because you saw me.
It was only 3.
Last week when Babyface was taking my place, I listened to the podcast, and I heard quite a few podcast drops.
It's a podcast.
You love to say the word. And I like the sticker, too.
Yeah, our sticker says Chasing the Rabbit podcast.
And I did not do those. Adam,
So appropriate.
Adam has seen the light.
It was the power of suggestion.
I didn't realize
It was. I didn't either.
Chasing the Rabbit podcast.
It's a little homage.
We like our podcast.
We like our podcast. That was for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Adam. All right, so let's introduce ourselves. Already started. I kind of got it kickstarted in a sense. So this is, who's this over here?
Hey, this is Jason. I'm the equipping pastor.
You still have to jump in and do the same way as you always do.
I forgot.
It threw you off. It threw you off. All right, we'll keep going.
All right, this is J.O. Jeremy Young, the children's pastor.
What's up, guys? This is Eric. I'm student pastor.
And this is Adam, the worship pastor.
So we got everybody here. We've got a pretty. I was going to say we've had a good run, but Babyface was in for a couple times.
Oh, I
Is
thought
he
you were
in here
saying it's
recently?
over. You're like, well, we had a good run. Wow.
This is it.
Okay.
It's the final episode of the Chasing the Rabbit podcast.
103 is all we could do.
Yeah.
That's all we got in us.
As far as we could go.
That's all we got. So yesterday, meaning Sunday for us, this is Monday, we're recording this. So Sunday was an out of the ordinary day. We had our normal church services and everything. And but then 2:00 we had this event called Go and Pray that we've talked about on the podcast before. Pray and go and pray. And go and pray because we're going and we're
Now I'm confused.
Praying.
It is go and pray?
go and pray.
That's what we call it.
Yeah, because we and we prayed. So it's go and pray.
We went.
Yeah, we did that too.
We went and prayed.
So
Go
we went to
and pray.
different neighborhoods, and we
go
sorted.
again.
How many houses did we cover? I forget. Just the group we were in, I think, was 170.
Betts Creek, we did 171. We did all of the settlements.
Settlement.
Wow, thank
The
you.
settlement? I don't remember how many houses that is.
Yeah, and then there was, I think, 1 or 2 other areas too. So we knocked out a few homes. You know, we put door hangers on the doorknobs, and just basically asked, "How can we pray for you?" And you never know who you may catch. That is, number one, that's just a real reminder that, hey, God sees me. Somebody out of the blue just put a door hanger on my doorknob, and here I am with this need in my life. And so that's really cool. And then, you know, it shows that our church wants to pray for people because we do. And so it was good. But there are some dangers that go along with this. There are various dangers. One of which is going upstairs. And so I was going up the steps of one of these houses in Betts Creek that had about 191 steps on it, I think. They were brick. And, I mean, I've gone upstairs my whole life, you know, and I hardly ever actually trip. And then this time I kind of tripped a little bit. It was a stumble. I think, Adam, you saw me. Is that right? Did you laugh?
No.
Okay. And, I think Billy saw me, Billy Griffin.
He didn't laugh either.
Okay.
We were more concerned
I'm sure.
for your hips.
It was a minor. It wasn't a 10.
Yeah.
I don't even know that it was maybe like around a 5.
Billy was really concerned. He was like, does this happen often?
It was a graceful fall up the steps.
Yeah,
Let's just say that.
it was the typical standard. You're going up the steps. You got a little pace going, and then your toe hits kind of it was a high step. It was whoever built it.
Yeah.
Totally blew it. Right.
The rise
It was
and
their
run
fault,
were
not
off.
mine.
That's exactly
yeah, the
right.
rise and run.
I reached out to them on our Betts Creek page and asked if they could please email me the video. I was hoping to get it by.
I thought you were going to ask them to remedy that problem so the next time
No, I was
somebody
hoping
came,
to get that video by today so we could show all of our listeners.
Well, see, there's a problem, though, because people on the island, they don't post embarrassing things. They don't say mean things ever on the Facebook pages on the islands, right? It's a very nice community.
Are you joking?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That's fully sarcastic.
I was thinking,
I'm probably on about 8
Yeah.
different pages right
Every
now.
Facebook and Nextdoor page I ever see, like people are calling people out for stuff, and it's like they were just driving down the road and walking their dog. What is the
know.
problem, people?
I truly
Angry
did look online to see if I found the video, but nobody had posted it.
But I was thinking, they're going to see this and then wonder, I wonder who actually delivered this. Because most people would probably think, I want to pull up my Ring camera if they had one. Well, I assume they did, and just take a look and see.
Did
And
you-
then they
did
would
you
have
see
seen
one?
me. I didn't even look.
There were a lot
I
of
tried to
doors
hang
that
the
I
thing
saw.
and get out
He
of
was
there.
running to the point.
You don't look into the camera, do you?
I just jumped like off.
He was
I'm like,
running at that
I
point.
went up to the door with the thing in my hand, like basically, so if they saw the camera footage later, they would be like, "Oh, what was that? What did they put at my door?" And then it kept blowing away in the wind, so I would just put it next to the Amazon packages because every door
There were some Amazon packages.
Amazon package and USPS. And I told Jeremy, I said we could just follow the Amazon guy, and then people would open their door for us as we go. Because like there was one guy who was coming to the door because Amazon had just come around, and he got his notification from him.
Jason and I did have one negative experience.
Uh-oh.
So,
Out of, can we say?
out of 171.
Yeah, out of
Yeah.
just our area, to 171 homes. Only one negative. That's not
Most
bad.
people seem fine. I met a lot of dogs. People were very friendly.
Yeah.
The dogs were friendly.
Yeah.
So, but we had a
said
situation
hello a
where
lot.
Jason went up to a door, and there were only 3 houses in this little cul-de-sac. So I was up one with a bunch of steps, and I was coming back down. And he was going up another door, and I looked, and the door he had just went to, the lady came out, and I was like, "Oh, there she is." So I went to wave at her, and she looked at me, and she shook her head, and she took that card, she ripped it in half in front of me, and then walked back in. I was like,
Lord.
I did one of those waves where I was like, "Hey, sorry."
We're from the community church.
We'll see you at the Methodist Church next week.
I mean, she ripped it in half. She's not going to read it. So
That's true. Yeah.
she'll never know.
Says
She'll
not
never
my
know.
prayer.
Yeah, that's a. Does that qualify as persecution? She looked at you
Slight.
directly. She looked at you directly.
American persecution.
American persecution. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it qualifies.
Well, we talk about first world problems. That's first world persecution right there.
Yeah.
So the whole Ring doorbell thing. These, you guys have Ring doorbells, and we never, obviously, growing up, we didn't even lock our door when I was a kid.
Yeah, we didn't either.
Feel
I
like-
don't have a Ring. I've got we're on the Wise platform.
Oh, okay. So
we
you've got
have
the
Wise
video.
cameras and Wise.
I guess I shouldn't
alarm
ask that
system
question.
and
It's kind of a
Wise
security breach, I guess, if you say.
I was thinking it's actually more secure if you have it. So,
Yeah.
if we say we don't have it, then
Yeah.
then
My
we're
Wise is
secure
backed up
for the 20 people that are
by
listening.
Mr. Smith, Mr. Wesson,
So
Mercy.
Brother Glock.
I like
Brother Glock. Uh-huh.
I like my
Pentecostal.
door. I like my door, so I put a ring on it. And so yeah.
Oh my word.
if you really like your door, the put a ring.
Where's the
Yeah,
drums?
I know. You didn't
Oh,
get
man,
drums
you
for
didn't get
that.
that one. No.
It's not even moving his fingers for
Not
that.
touching that.
So have you ever had any funny videos that you've ever gone back and looked at and just seen like, okay, that's kind of funny? Because you see them online and stuff, but have y'all ever been even remotely close to that? A delivery guy that tripped or something, or
Chunked a package at your door.
yeah, any of those?
I have had some chunking packages at
You
the
have?
door. Yeah.
So do you
There's a
go
lot
back
of
and look
steps
and
up to your
see
front door, man.
whenever they deliver a package? Do you sometimes go back and look and see, like, hey, I wonder who delivered this, and if they were careful?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Usually
I would.
if they ring the doorbell, it automatically, like, I get a phone call on my phone. So it's like a telephone call, like a video call. But it automatically connects, and I can speak to them if I want to. Or there's also certain times, I guess if they've got a package, it automatically, like, it alerts me on my telephone, and the whole screen becomes the camera, and I can see them delivering. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But it's I can watch them throw stuff, but I can also thank them.
Technology is amazing.
We had a mystery a
rocket
few
stuff.
weeks ago because there was a package, and so we saw it on the ring, and then the next time we saw it on the camera, it was gone. So, but no person was detected coming in and stealing it.
Raccoon.
And 3 days later, we found out that the wind blew it off the porch.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah,
How did you determine this?
it was very light, and Carrick found it on the other side of the porch, so the wind must have taken it away. But what I like to do with the ring is I like to, when my wife goes to get a package on the front porch, I like to, hey, baby, yell stuff at her. Cat calling.
Sure, she
I yell stuff.
She loves it.
When Marcia's out walking the dog, I'll say stuff to her, and especially when it's dark and it really bothers her.
I don't want to say who it was
Or
because we
creeps
know
are
him.
out, maybe.
But I liked your neighbor's camera on the front of their garage.
yeah.
And it had such a nice message. And I was like, I want to personalize that.
She's very sweet.
Yeah. I wanted to.
Hello, you are currently being recorded.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just such a sweet little voice.
Yeah. And
She
I
doesn't
was
stop,
thinking
though.
it'd be fun to personalize that. It'd be like, because every person who drove down the road, it would say, hello, you're being recorded. And they're driving down the road. They're not in the driveway. I was thinking, you could change it to be like, have a nice day.
I'm
Change it
praying
for the
you.
afternoon. Yeah. Glad to see you back home.
Somebody said they saw one while we were out and around. I think it was you, Jason, that mentioned that it whistled.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's
I was walking up
ingenious.
to the door and I heard come from my left side on the other side of the garage. And I looked
Yeah.
over and there's a red light with a camera looking at me.
Gotcha.
And I looked straight at it. And I'm like, how you doing?
Full
So,
face view right there. It worked
That's
well.
fun.
Yeah.
that's
So I was
good.
like, that's a smart idea because it caught my attention. And the reaction is immediately look at it. And so it did its purpose. It did its job. I mean, if that was three in the morning and I was walking up to the door to take somebody's package off the porch, then, it would have caught me right
Yeah.
there. But
Now,
I was
beyond
just trying
the
to leave
smart-
some prayer request.
Beyond your smart doorbell or smart camera, do you guys have smart homes? Like, do you have lights that you can control?
Well, I live
And-
there, so obviously.
Now that deserves
I got you
a
on that
big
one.
one.
Obviously.
I mean, do y'all do the
I have
smart
some
home
smart
thing?
bulbs that I picked up at Walmart, and they were clearance, so I probably should have known something about them. They are the most frustrating thing when they flake out. So, like when the power starts going out and we've got wind and that when the power clicks on and off and on and off, that's the reset for these smart bulbs. So then the power comes back on and we've got a strobe effect going on with these bulbs in the kitchen. And Paige is like, what is going on? What happened? And so she forgets it's a smart bulb and I've got to go through and reprogram them all.
Party in
reconnect
the
them,
kitchen.
and
Your house is haunted.
yeah. So it's just kind of a strange thing.
You hear all the bats in the attic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I barely use the features of all the things they can do anyway. So it's like, I'm just going to change them out to regular bulbs again.
That's fun.
So, I reached out to Jeremy last night. I just want to make mention of this real quickly. I reached out to Jeremy last night. I was looking for a movie,
Oh, yeah. I was like, what?
and I couldn't find this
Let's
movie.
get real personal
online.
for a minute.
The movie Hoosiers.
Yeah.
Yeah, have y'all ever seen Hoosiers? Mm-hmm. I couldn't find the thing streaming
don't know
anywhere.
that one.
You would think that with all the different streaming platforms, you could find it. Well, I could find it. It's just you got to pay for the thing.
Right.
How come you can't find movies for free?
Oh, they don't
if
give
they're
that.
just old?
That's
Why-
a good movie. They don't give that
Sometimes
up.
you can. It's just that they renew the contracts at different times.
Yeah, it just varies. You got to look through a couple different platforms to catch it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
it's some things you just won't find without having to pay for it.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll put them on like Pluto or,
Pluto's
Roku
good,
channel or
yeah.
something. They'll put them on for a few months and then they're gone. And it's like Paige was struggling with that the other day. She was like, all this stuff in my Amazon watch list and none of it's available anymore. So we saved it when we could watch it and then they let the contract expire. So you can no longer watch it on Amazon. So they change it up, kind of like TBS or TNT. They'll carry something for a little while and then it's no longer available.
It was just a random thought. Drew hasn't been feeling well, so he's been home all weekend, just kind of laying around because he's felt horrible. So I thought last night, it's like, man, did you ever seen Hoosiers? And he'd never seen it, and I was all ready to watch it, and then I, couldn't find
I
it.
would have brought it over. You
No,
said
it's
you
fine.
wanted me to bring that over with cream soda and
2 liters,
homemade
yeah.
pudding, and that's where I drew the line. I was like, I'm not making pudding.
And pizza. And pizza. Yeah, I asked him, I texted him, I said, do you have a copy of Hoosiers? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, then I texted him back, can you drop it over, just run it over real quick with a pizza and some 2 liters of cream soda and banana pudding? So,
I ain't doing the pudding.
I ain't doing the pudding.
You gotta counter negotiate
I
these
ain't
things.
doing the pudding.
So my question is, have you ever rented a movie though, like on one of your streaming platforms?
Yeah, we have. I don't know if he was really. It was getting a little bit later,
Okay.
and it's just like
Yeah.
he wasn't that big into it as much as I was. So.
Yeah.
My neighbors, when I grew up, I'm talking about neighborhoods. When I grew up, I had these next door neighbors, and they had like over 2,000 DVDs. I'm sorry, VHS. I apologize.
yeah.
VHS. Yes. I'm like, hold on. Yeah. So VHS cassettes, and they had a checkout system. So you would go over there, and they had like the little Dewey Decimal System, and they had a little checkout card. You'd say what movie you were checking out, and you borrow it and bring it back, and it's pretty exceptional.
Did you get late fines if you didn't bring it back on time?
You got stare downs from the back fence.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking with a system like that, somebody
Where's that
is-
Indiana Jones? Yep, I'm getting it.
Yeah. Heidi ho, neighbor. Where's my video?
I remember I got Honey, I Shrunk the Kids from them once, and
Yeah.
it was great. Yeah.
That's good. That's a That's an enterprise going on right there. That's
Did they have like membership cards?
Well, they weren't renting cars. No.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Not an Enterprise.
Still no drums.
It was more like a Blockbuster.
Yep, no drums on
No
that
rim
one.
shot.
Yeah.
Wow. So we're going to, speaking of
I think
renting
I'm
out,
sleep deprived. That one guy.
you know what? I think it's a good spot because you're so much wanting to have your voice heard that that we go ahead and take a break right here. And then we come back. Why don't you share a promo? Does that sound good?
Okay. All right, this Sunday, February 25th at 11:45 a.m. upstairs in the Kid Life room, we're going to have one of our First Steps class. First Steps is for kids and parents, and what we do is we just go over these great conversations about what does it mean to be saved? Why do we need to be saved? What is salvation? Baptism, what is that? Why do we do it? You know, why does the Lord want us to do it? And when do we take that step? It's just a great class. It'll last about an hour long. I'll have some snacks, and it'll be a lot of fun. So for any kids and parents, primarily first grade through fifth grade, we'd love to have you upstairs this Sunday, February 25th at 11:45 a.m. in the Kid Life room.
So what kind of snacks are we talking?
No banana pudding.
Okay. Cream soda?
No, probably
Okay.
not. Kids don't like. Who drinks cream soda? Any of you guys like cream soda?
I like cream soda.
Do you really?
do.
Cream
I've
soda
never
is
liked cream
awesome.
soda.
Man, you were behind the curve.
I like root beer, but I don't like cream soda.
Old school. That's so 1990s.
I don't even know if I could like place cream soda right now. Like if I had a cream soda versus something else, I don't know.
We need to get some. Are you're a cream soda?
I do
guy?
like cream soda.
Yeah,
Who
cream
makes the best cream
Yep.
soda?
No.
I do the zinnia, the stevia.
With as much,
That's not
it's the
cream
mushroom cream soda.
Is there mushroom in it? You're so gross.
I'm so persecuted. That's why I'm so gray.
Drinking weird stuff.
That's why I'm so gray. Is y'all did.
Well, like we were having a
Mushrooms are
conversation.
decomposers.
We were having a conversation, and he was talking about his hot cocoa mix, and it's like a low sugar stevia. And I was like, "There's only 3 ingredients. I wonder if you could make your own blend because it's like foods are getting like, I mean, which is great because it's less about ingredients and less additives and
Yeah,
things.
if you can't pronounce
but then
it,
it's
don't
like,
take it.
okay, if there's only 3 ingredients, could I make this?
Yeah.
Because he's like, it's got stevia, cocoa, and sea salt. I'm like, I can get all of those at the store.
I wanna know who
right now.
first-
It's like let's start making our own. I mean, he's paying a little bit of money. It wasn't too bad a price.
$10 for 40 servings.
But still, I'm just like, let's just dial this thing in. I mean, we can make our own.
Who first ate a mushroom? What idiot was standing around going, I might try this?
Somebody that was a hungry idiot apparently.
And there's
Just
only so many kind of mushrooms you can eat.
Maybe
He
maybe he
failed
watched
hunter
his,
gatherer. He just couldn't
Yeah.
keep up. So he's
Or-
like, I give up. What is
or
that?
maybe he watched the pig and the dog, and he was like, they love those things, and he was like, I'm going to try this.
and they haven't died, so it's kind of like a
First one might have.
I was going to say,
Well, they have died
you ever
by
heard
now.
about?
The mushroom's been around.
No. I mean, he saw a pig eat the mushroom and didn't die, and he saw a dog eat the
Okay,
mushroom
I
and didn't
gotcha.
die, so he thought I could eat them. It reminds me of one who was a cupbearer to the
Ooh.
king, right? Once his name was Nehemiah.
Nehemiah?
He would drink the wine, and if he didn't die, then the king knew it was safe to drink. Talking about Nehemiah,
That was a good segue. I was about to make one too.
Thank you. It kind of reminds me of what we talked about just this past Sunday, Nehemiah's story, and
I like to keep talking about mushrooms, but okay.
That's okay. You can on your own free time. You can be the mushroom man,
That'll be a different podcast.
I've got
You
some
know, the
mushroom
mushroom
coffee that
man,
you're welcome to
mushroom-
try.
singing songs as fast as he can.
Go ahead. I apologize.
That's what happens.
Nehemiah.
See, he made the segue, then he completely lost it.
So back,
Yeah. We usually see our community through a lens of what it can give us rather than through a lens of what we can give
that
them.
is an interesting point, Adam.
And that
Thank
takes
you.
us right
for-
back
What your
to
neighborhood
Nehemiah.
can do for you.
Yeah.
What you can do
What
for your
can-
neighborhood.
Wow.
Are you a fun guy in your neighborhood?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think this podcast is
Yeah,
off
let's
the
cap,
rails.
let's cap off the mushroom conversation.
off the rails. Absolutely.
Good. Yeah.
We need to stem the tide right here. Is what we need to do. All right. So when you think about
Somewhere in there.
Eric's like, if I give it to him, they'll stop. me.
Exactly, I'm hoping.
Will they stop? If I
silence. We had a bus driver when I was a kid. That's what she would do when the bus got too rowdy. She'd just go silence. She would call silence, and everybody had to be quiet. So, Wow, it works.
It just made me think of a total rabbit, but I don't want to chase it right now.
Nope. Not
So
going
when you think about Nehemiah, is that a decent? Would he be a good example, you could say, about how one is to reach their neighborhood, even though it's not really a neighborhood per se as we think of them today? But he fits into that, wouldn't you say? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was the whole he had a burden for his community. He left where he was, where it was comfortable, and he went into the community where it wasn't. And then he began to show care for that community, and he rallied people together. He did a lot of work, and he accomplished a lot of things, and he showed Christ. Well, he showed the Lord to him. He's Old Testament, so he showed God to him. And I think he's a pretty decent example. So we had these sheets that we handed out. We put one on each seat about prayer walking, and then another about praying for your community. So what does it really, honestly, this sounds like a softball question, but what difference do you think it really makes for us to intentionally begin to pray for the communities where we live? It's 30 days of prayer was the sheet Navigators Reputable Ministry put out. If we truly begin to pray for our communities, what can God do with that, do you think? What are some ways we could see, like, this is where God's working and very possibly in answer to our prayers? Any thoughts?
One thing, like our culture has gotten to the point where we come into the driveway and we either go into the garage or the driveway and we immediately get out. If our neighbors are out, we're like, hey, and you go straight in the house. Like we're behind closed doors a lot. And I think if we're intentionally praying, we'll see those interactions as more of an opportunity. We'll see our neighbors more, hear our neighbors more. And so if nothing else, it opens up that dialogue that we miss a lot of times in our current culture because we're busy. I mean, and we don't want to belabor them either, but at the same time, that's exactly what we're there for. Our neighbors are there to do community life with.
Yeah. Like blinders. Kind of. We get our own little blinders in there.
Well, it's like yesterday. I come home from church and I'm kind of in a hurry. I need to grab some food because I need to be back here by 2:00, which I was running late trying to do that too. So all this going on in my mind as I'm backing into my driveway, and then I see my neighbor across the road who's out. He's always working on something. And he was out working on something. And I hadn't caught up with him in over a week or so. And mainly because I've been busy working on some stuff and had some extra meetings and things going. I just haven't crossed paths with him. It's been cold. It's been wet times, So he's not been outside working. He's probably working on something in the house. So I just, made a point. I'm like, I want to catch his eye. And I caught his eye. And he's like, hey, how you doing? And he started talking about the sprinklers he's putting in. And so we had a good conversation. And it's just good to keep those connections so that if he has a need, if there's a way that I can pray for him, if the opportunity to talk about our faith comes up, if I don't ever talk to my neighbors, but it literally was one of those days that was like, I need to be thinking about my neighbor right now. I could go this way and walk behind the cars and get in the house and get onto lunch and get onto the next thing to be back at church so I can go pray or walk through someone's neighborhood, or I can go around the front and maybe talk to my neighbor across the street. And so, it's just one of those moments. It's like, this is what God wants me to do.
Yeah.
And it was, good
Just
to
being
catch up with
intentional,
him.
getting out of our comfort zone and being intentional.
Yeah.
Well, the prayer component is insanely important because anything you pray about every single day, every single night, you're going to follow through with it. So if you're praying for somebody by name, the next time you see them, it's right there on your heart and on your mind. You're probably going to go say something to them. And that's where I think sometimes we forget. We're like, we just need to talk to people about Jesus. It's like, yeah, but pick somebody by name, pray for them, and then watch what God does. Watch the opportunities pop up. Watch what's on your heart and your mind next time you see them out and about.
Yeah, those are good points. It's like the opportunities, they're not like that doorbell camera that you saw yesterday. The opportunities don't go, it's like, there's an opportunity.
Right.
But when you're praying about them, and you're praying like every day, that's already kind of adapting you to being on the lookout. Yeah. And so when you do see, like you with your neighbor across the street yesterday, you just, our focus on Sunday morning was about that.
Right. I just sat in a service and listened to a sermon for 35 minutes about that.
Yeah,
I should be thinking about my neighbor and my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I was about to go walk through somebody's neighborhood too.
And ignore all of that, right?
Yeah.
That's what we did.
Exactly. So I don't want to do that. So I don't want to ignore all that. So, but I was thinking too, to your point, I was already thinking that, with prayer so often, it's not just about what we're asking God to do, but it's about what God does in us. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of what you were saying too, is that when we're praying, God's putting it on our heart and mind. And sometimes our prayers will change over time because God's working within us in His Spirit to change us from the inside out as we pray through it. But if it's never on our prayers, then we're never putting it before Him. We're never keeping it in the forefront of our mind either.
Mm-hmm. So real quick, in these last few minutes, when we think about leading a church, and then we ourselves also doing this, obviously, to just doing things differently. Church for so long has always been about let's do really good services and invite people to come, which those things should be in place. And, those are important. But when you think about kind of turning that ship, it's not going to turn on a dime. It takes time. But when you think about turning that ship to a mindset of, no, when you leave here, you are going on mission. That's who you are as a Christian. And you're leaving here on mission. What do you think some of the things, if the devil is real, and he is, if he were to try to discourage people to leave a service where they've been encouraged to live on mission, right? And if he's going to whisper something in their ear to keep them from actually doing that, what are some tactics you think the enemy may use to make people think, oh, I don't need to do this, or I can't do this, or what have you? Any thoughts?
I think the biggest is what he said there at the beginning, busyness.
Yeah.
We get so busy, and the devil uses busyness to keep us from doing it. I mean, did you have time to do that? No, not really. But making the time was important, and you knew that. I think busyness is part of it. And we've gotten to be such a community that's not. There's no family in the community, I guess. When you were talking earlier before our podcast, you were talking about the neighborhoods that we grew up in. Well, I grew up in the country, but my grandparents lived in an old textile mill village. And everybody knew everybody. I mean, all the kids caught the bus at Meemaw's house. And Meemaw made this massive, industrial-sized pan of biscuits. And everybody came by and ate every morning. I mean, kids that, I didn't even know half of them. And they just stopped in and would eat breakfast and catch the bus there. Sunday afternoon, there'd be 60 people at Meemaw's house. And people that they would just show up and we're like, who's that? But it was just the community. Everybody was always out, walking, talking, helping. To the same token, anybody in the community that wanted to was allowed to spank you if you got out of control, So that happened too. That happened a lot as well. So it was just extremely interesting. And that's something that we just don't see as much.
Yeah.
Adam, I wonder if one of the issues, and I don't know, y'all tell me if I'm wrong, it's like everybody kind of had a church, or we all had the same values. And I feel like with my neighbors, it's getting more and more like this. Like they're kind of into this scene. I'm not into that scene at all. So the opportunities to meet are more difficult. Like I don't really want my kids around them. I don't really know how to invite them to something. I'm not going to go to do what they're doing. How we bridge that is really difficult, and that's kind of some of the things I've been thinking about and dealing with. And I don't know, Adam, it just feels like it's a different day and age.
It does. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. But still, at the same time, genuine kindness and compassion.
They go a long way.
They go a long way. Those never change. Everyone, I think, can be
If anything, our light would shine brighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the darker it gets, the brighter it shines. The old story about the guy who, I forget all the details of it. It's probably just some made up story, but the guy who went to the church on Saturday night. Went to the bar on Saturday night and the church on Sunday morning, and somebody asked him how it went. And he said, "Well, if I had an option, I'd probably join the bar." Because there's more community there. It was kind of what he was getting at. Churches sometimes can be very isolating and cold and those kind of things, and sometimes folks, the remedy to that is, well, we need to do. You fill in the blank, better, which interpreted means the church needs to do a program for this. Y'all need to do something about this. But really, in reality, if the mission is going to be accomplished of reaching people, it's not a program. It's not anything we can, somehow program and put out there. It's all of us just stepping into the opportunities God gives us. And many times it's with the people that are closest to us all week long, on our street, in our workplace, or, on our campus, or wherever that might be. Just hearing the... and stepping into that opportunity,
to
put Christ on display.
We need that sound effect on here.
We do need that.
Yeah, I didn't think I could do it into the actual microphone. So.
What do you want to do? But Brooks, I think that's something as well that we all need to be cognizant of as church members, because so many times when we come to church, that's supposed to be where that community is nurtured, and we should have that here as well. But it's not always.
Yeah.
And we need to be aware of that too. Of keeping that same mindset of community and still being missionaries even at the church, because not everybody we come into contact with here is a believer and is at the same place as we are.
Yeah, the attraction to our church shouldn't necessarily be stellar services or music or wonderful preaching. We have all that. But it should be a place where it's like, man, those people, I want to be around those people.
Yeah.
Look how much fun they're having together. Look how much they love each other, and they watch each other's kids, and they just generally care about each other. I want to be a part of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully they don't listen to the podcast. Sometimes we sort of hit on each other a little too hard, I guess. You guys, I love y'all. I'm sorry.
We like you too. A lot.
So maybe around the church, whenever we see somebody sitting on a row, and we see an opportunity, we just need to start going and seeing who in the podcast actually picks up on that and runs over there and sits down and talks to them.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, we could try that. We could start doing that.
You got to work on your whistle.
Yeah,
You can set that as a text tone term, and then it just goes off.
We'll just add that we'll just put a button up in the sound booth, and they can just push that button periodically.
There you go. There you go.
As you're preaching, we'll hear it.
Good conversations today, and we look forward to doing another episode coming up for next week. So I hope you can plan to join us. Let's wrap this one up right here. Thank you for tuning in to Chasing the Rabbit from First Baptist Church of the Islands. New episodes of this podcast appear every Tuesday, so be sure to follow, turn on your notifications to get every episode right on time. Help us out by rating this podcast, and even better, share it. Check out our website at fbcislands.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel, FBC of the Islands, and we will see you next time.